Welcome everyone, it's Carl and Caddy from Nowhere Bound Touring. We're excited to share with you that we've been in this van for 2 years now.
Full-time living.
And yeah, we thought we should share the good, the bad and the ugly of it.
Yeah, that's specifically to do with the van itself.
Just the van.
You know, living in the, not necessarily living in the van, but the van itself and what we've found has worked, what hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And what we've changed and what we haven't, basically.
When we first moved into the van, we were in the middle of a paddock, and I think we were there for 4 months.
Something like that.
And then we moved down to a football oval, all of which was in the middle of winter.
In Victoria, in the mud, the rain, the fog, blowing gale. So that was challenging. Well, it tested the van anyway, wet weather. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the van in sections. We're going to go through the inside first of all, sort of part by part, and then we'll move on and go through the outside and the outside kitchen and all of that sort of thing.
So you can check out our original walkthrough of the caravan.
Yeah,
that was, what, 12 months ago?
Something like that.
Yeah. Which
Which goes through everything about our van, so we're not really going to do that. We're just going to touch on things and what we love and what we don't.
Yeah, and some of that will be even knick-knacky things that are useful to have in your van.
So let's get on with it.
Woohoo! The lounge area, we still love it. The leather's awesome, and we think that it'll last longer than if we had material. It's so
Right.
easy to wipe it over.
You can, if you spill something, you can just wipe it.
Yeah.
It does show more wear than material, but overall, we love the layout. For friends, if you've got a few friends around, that you can just, if it's bad weather, you can sit in here, or if it's too hot, we've got our fans, which are great. The table goes into a bed, which we have used for guests.
And look, you're actually full length.
Can
It's
lay
a
down.
full bed.
You can actually lay down side to side. So we really like that setup. It suits us very well, and we like how it's been laid out.
And we did a few times have movie nights where we would put this down to a bed and have pizza and watch videos.
And watch videos on the TV.
So, which was cool. The curtains, they're not just to look pretty. I haven't actually utilised them to the full extent yet. I think when we get up north, I'll use them more. And that is, they're double backed, and so that we can shut them and try and keep the van a bit cooler, as well as having those ones go up. So just double insulate the heat out, hopefully.
We used them when it was super cold in Strzelecki when we were there.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I'd keep them shut. We only have them down the lounge end, but that's where you spend the majority of your time. So you either want it to be warm or cool.
Didn't want it near the kitchen because we didn't want
oil.
splattery stuff on it and so on, and we didn't want it in the bedroom because of the narrowness. When you walk past, you'll continually knock them and so on, and we didn't think that we would use them in the bedroom.
And we wouldn't. We wouldn't have.
No, we won't.
This end is perfect.
Our roof hatch down here. We like the idea of the hatch, but we hate this one. It is crap in my opinion. The fly screen is crap. This heats up and bends in the summer. It gets sticky. You can't have it open, say at night time. If you have it way open or anything like that in case it rains. If it gets too windy, it flops open. You can lock it in one position. It lets in a ton of heat, and it doesn't come with a seal due to the gas laws in Australia that you have to have ventilation enough for your gas. So they use this as a ventilation point. So of course when you go down dusty roads, heaps of dust comes in. But I've modified it. I've put a double seal on it, which is the original seal actually, but I've double stacked it and blocked off these vents here to stop that. So now it seals okay, but it is still crap. I wouldn't have one of these styles of hatches again. I would test the 4-season one and see how that went. It won't let in so much heat. It's a bit of a catch-22. We do like the light, particularly in winter or on a rainy day, but in summer the heat that comes through is astronomical. So,
and it does have the shade one.
It does have a shade.
But
yeah.
but then you've got no air.
Yeah, you've got no air flowing through, so I don't think this type of hatch is suitable for us. I think we will change it at some point in time. The 4 Seasons ones are bigger, so I don't think we'll get one of them, but they have got an extraction fan that we have been looking at that we are going to test in the bathroom. So if that goes okay, we might put one of those here instead. So, strangely enough, I was concerned about the sink size when we first purchased the van. I was concerned about sinks being too small, and I was concerned about them being too large. If they're too large, it uses too much water when you wash your dishes, obviously, and we want to be frugal with water. And if it's too small, you can't fit your fry pans and crap in, so it's useless anyway. But this one is really good, so I'm super happy with the size of this sink. The only thing I could think of would be better is if this was flipped the other way. The reason I say that is this van has sort of limited workspace on the bench. So this side and this side. It looks plenty big now, but normally when you're cooking you've got this up, you've got something here, so you can't really chop or do anything here as much. So you tend to use the sink side, which is where you like to chop and do your stuff anyway. I would have preferred if the drain was over here, so that you could wash that way and stack your dishes there. Then you'd have this full area here as chopping or preparation or anything like that. But that's a minor problem. We live with it. I just chop on this side. It's just not quite as convenient, obviously. Sink's great. Thumbs up to Bushtracker for their sink. I like it.
And I like that the rack's not on that side because it would steam my spices.
That's true. You don't want your spices anywhere near your stove, and obviously you want to keep it away from any steam and water and so on. They are very, very good. We love them. But the lids are not they do have a little rubber, well, look at that. They do have a little rubber seal around the inside of the lid, but they don't seal extremely great, well. You know what I mean? So, but the spice rack is great.
They seal good enough that they don't leak.
Our oven and our cooktop or our stove, we originally had a debate amongst ourselves whether we wanted an oven, and we nearly didn't get an oven inside. We were going to have one outside because we're thinking of hot weather, but we truly like the oven inside now. If you've got bad weather, you want to warm the van up a little bit, you cook a roast in the oven or anything like that, it is really good, and I would not have it any other way. I'd have it again exactly like that. The actual layout of this cooktop, I'm not that fond of. This is a Swift 500 series oven. This wok burner, it's like having your cigarette lighter under your wok. It's no good. Doesn't work for me at all. It's cold. They say it's got the same size jet as the big one, but in a smaller thing. I don't understand. It doesn't work very good. So that's not very good on this stove at all. The layout is not very good either, because if you have two large pots, because of the size of it, you can only put them here and here or here and here, and that's it. You can't use anything else. You can't put even a smaller pot near your large pot. I would much rather see it with just 3 burners, so that you could put at least 3 things on at once, which would be great. I don't know whether they offer that. That's just my experience. The second thing that we would do different now is we would have an electric element on our stovetop. The reason being is because we are going to go with a larger battery bank, and we've decided that that would be a more economical way to do things. If you've got enough solar, you can use at least one electric element, and if not, you can use the gas. Currently, if we have enough solar, Or if we're in a caravan park, we use a portable electric cooktop, which also works for us because we take it outside and use it on the outside barbecue area or kitchen if we have enough power. We're not normally in caravan parks, we don't normally live that style of life, so we're normally off grid. If we have spare power in the sun, we'd cook this way.
Or we would cook with the slow cooker. We try to utilise the sun and not use the gas if we can help it. I've got some really useful pots that have made life easier in the van too. Not trying to sell anything, but these, they've got the measuring in them and they're handle free and they stack inside each other. So they're Stanley Rogers. They're so good. They even come with these to look after them in the drawer. And as a bonus, they actually seal and you can put them straight in the fridge as well. They've got multi-use, which is fantastic. They are a little bit weighty, but I believe that they're worth that. They don't come with a steamer. So Carl manipulated one of our old steamers that we had before we left the farm, and it fits perfect. 3 different levels, 3 different pots. Can put it on whichever one we want. He's very tricky.
The range hood in the van, it's been good. It works good. The lights are good. Everything's good about the range hood, and I definitely have one. Most vans come with them now anyway, but I definitely have one. Or if I ever did it again, instead of getting that one, I would get the next size up just so it captures the steam a little bit better. When it's really cold in winter, like we were, for extended periods of times, any little bit of steam that gets away condensates everywhere and so on. So I would have liked to have seen a bigger one. And something else I would have liked to have seen, which I am going to install, is in this range hood duct, I am going to install a valve so that I can shut it off. The reason being is when you're travelling down a dirt road, dust can only get in if air can get out. It's like a bottle full of water. If the water is to the very top on the bottle and you try and tip some more in, well, nothing goes in really, it just hits the top and runs off the edge because it's already full. If it's empty, you can easily tip more in, of course. It's the same as the van. If air can get out, that is, the bottle's not completely full, you can easily get air back in. If no air can get out, nothing can happen. Air can't really come in, which means you can't get dust in. The reason I say that is because air can travel out through here and out through the vent. It's a big hole. So by sealing that up, we'll be stopping one spot that air can get out. Dust doesn't come in, but air can get out, and I like to stop that.
When we had our farm, we were off-grid as well, but we didn't have a microwave and all those fancy things. So having a microwave in the van is quite different for us. We would buy another one if it broke. We were surprised. We thought we might be wasting our money getting one.
Especially if you've got plenty of solar,
yeah,
and your batteries are full, it's free power.
Yes.
So it's free cooking essentially.
The TV, on the other hand, we've removed. We don't use it, and we've placed it under the seat for now just to see whether or not we change our mind. But I would think that we're going to be dropping that off somewhere sometime.
We don't use it.
We don't use it, and yeah, it's just weight that we don't require. Keep the microwave, get rid of the TV. The compressor fridge, awesome. Even on the 52-degree days that we had in the van, it was 52, it just worked. It went really well.
Bad thing is, the interior light.
Oh yeah.
It's interior light's dicky. Me being an electrician, I've tried to fix it. It's like hell to get the little switch out, so I've given up.
But yeah, it's really big. We use the baskets to stop things sliding around.
And of course the rubber mats underneath work great to stop all your containers and everything sliding around.
We normally take them out though when we're stopped for long periods. I just haven't
because they're a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
They're too grippy.
I've been lazy. We also use it on our plates as well, between each plate.
When we travel.
And they're the plates that everybody has, the Corel.
Well, we haven't broken one.
And we have them in the truck as well, and they're also perfect, so yeah.
One thing that we would like changed in the van, which we probably will do at some time, is not all of the cupboards, well, all of the cupboards don't have a shelf here, which is okay because you can fit bigger things in them, but we would like a shelf, a mid shelf on these two cupboards. Since we've got the extra high ceilings, which is, I don't know how high, whether that's a standard van or what the difference is, but for Bushtracker it's an extra high ceiling. It gives us more height in the cupboard, 75mm more, so we can easily have a mid shelf here, so we don't have this sort of issue. I think that would be a handy thing in some of the cupboards. You want a variety of shelf sizes so that you can organise your stuff for easier access. So that's something that we probably will change in the future, a couple of mid shelves in these cupboards. Something else I would really like to sort out is all of this water control for the tanks and all that by Bushtracker has been great. That's been really good. There is one thing that is absolute crap, and that is these flow meters. This is how we determine how full our water tanks are, and they constantly stuff up, get misreadings, the stove igniter sets them off, and so on. They are crap. The reason why Bushtracker choose to use them is because they tend not to fail. Their comments were that the ultrasonic gauges that you commonly see on vans with nice displays and so on tend to fail in outback conditions. That's why they use these. But I don't like them still. It doesn't matter. They're still working. Just one of them's failed and we've had to stuff around with it and it's working now. But I'd like a different solution because I don't think they're very good. Enough of the bad, the good. The washing machine is great. It is really good. It does about, on the rapid wash, 30-minute wash, it uses 22 litres of water for a full 4 kilo load, and that's reasonably big. Like we can do our sheets and doona and all that, and it does a full wash in 30 minutes, which is really good. If you happen to be at a caravan park and you've got a little bit more water, because it does use a lot more water, if you go to one of the heavier washers, it uses about 75 litres of water per wash, but it does a super wash. It turns your jeans from brown or grey back to new. We've had no problems with it, and it's worked faultless, hasn't it? Yeah, yep. Really good. And that's all we use. We don't use anything else. We don't go to laundromats or anything like that. We just use the washing machine.
Oh, we use the bucket on the back of the truck.
Oh, well, we don't have that. And we've been using that now consistently for 2 years, and no problems whatsoever.
This is the toilet. It's like every toilet. I still love that this spins, even though we don't spin it very often. Having the extra towel rack is fabulous. And I've been getting crafty and created a bouquet. The mirror's great. Having a washing line in here with the diesel heater feeding into here has been awesome throughout winter. We've been able to get stuff dry. I think it's the perfect size toilet. But I would put an extraction fan in. I don't need to say why. And then we've got our shower, which is very large. The shelf is perfect. You don't need to have any other added shelves in there. You've got your step and your locker for all your stuff for when you're traveling. The shower hatch is also a poorly designed hatch. It's just one of the simple ones. When it's windy, it bangs constantly, so you've got to get up, you know, every third night because you forgot to close it. We are going to replace this with a better unit, hopefully, and get rid of it. Also need to close it when it pours rain because your towels and so on get wet. We've also added extra hanging rails, which is really good because you can hang wet things in here if it's warm and they'll dry nicely, and of course they'll just strip down onto the ground and it doesn't matter. So that has worked really well. We also opted for a privacy curtain, I suppose, which is great. Doesn't matter what colour it is really, but yeah, it works really well if, you know, we've got visitors and I want to go to bed or whatever. You can use it obviously to separate the two areas.
Have you got a guest on your spare bed down here, so that you don't have to get dressed in front of them at the other end?
Yeah,
and vice
so
versa.
when we had my niece, you know, she was sleeping in here and it just gave her own privacy, her own bedroom kind of thing.
So that worked really well.
Yeah, it was worth doing.
Yep.
In the bedroom, like the lounge room, we've got Sirocco fans, 2 in the bedroom, 1 each side, and 1 each side down by the lounge. If I had my time again with the fans, I would opt for the black. Probably still will show some dust, but the white ones, they're just constantly brown.
Yeah, they're clean now. But
I cleaned them for you, but
yeah. We would just get black fans. They'd tie in with the black window frames and all of that. I don't think you'd notice them, and you'll tend to notice them less than the dirty red, brown fan blades.
And they'll be dirty again tomorrow.
Yeah.
The bed is a queen, and there's no way I would change that. I would not go smaller.
Or the add a bed or the pull out bed stuff, or that would be terrible for full-time living. You just want your right size bed without having to muck around. This bed, as you probably know, is the extra high bed, and the reason they can get away with the extra height is because they put boot lockers, which we think are great, on either side of the bed. So you can put your socks and your boots and all of that sort of stuff in these boot lockers, and it gives you extra storage. And you just step up on that to get into the bed. The other really good thing about the extra high bed is you get plenty of underbed storage. So we've got 6 reasonable sized drawers. You know what I mean? You can see there I've got like how many pairs of jeans and shorts and so on in there. So without them, I don't know what we would do. Now, the hanging.
The hanging, I want shelves. I just feel that I've got all my clothes cramped in. They end up creased and everything. I'd be better off having them on a shelf and roll them. So I'm going to have that done on my side. Carl's going to keep his hanging.
Because I like my hanging.
He's happy with his hanging, but I'm not.
We have previously mentioned and done a video on our mould under our mattress, which we solved by installing this product called Airmesh. It's like a airy material. You can see it in our other video if you're interested. That has worked great and solved the problem of any mould under this mattress. We've also used it in our rooftop tent in our truck, which has solved the mould under there. So we definitely recommend that as a good solution. If you've got a solid base under your mattress, you definitely need something like that. One thing that we opted not to have done to this van, and we still totally agree with it, we decided not to get a roof hatch above our bed, and we think that that was a great idea still. Number one, doesn't let in dirt, leaves, twigs, all that sort of crap, rain, if you happen to have it open in the middle of the night and all of that. Second thing is, especially the big ones, or any ones, but particularly the big hatches, let in so much heat on those hot days that it's just incredible. It's like putting your head in an oven. We are more than happy that we elected not to install a roof hatch, and if you are thinking about roof hatches, I would consider those things when you're making your choice of whether you do or don't want one. The rest of the bedroom, the only thing that we will be adding is, you can see in the middle of the roof there, we've got marked for where our crossbeam is. We'll be adding a midgie net to it, so in case we're at a place with midgies where we have been previously, we can at least put a midgie net over the bed and keep them out of the bed itself, because you will not be able to keep them out of your van. They just get in everywhere because they're midgies.
And a little tip, if you actually need to find a beam, wait till there's a day of condensation if you have a steel frame, That's how we were able to find this.
Yeah, on a very cold day and it starts to condensate, you can see where the structural beams are in the van, especially in this one because it's aluminium.
Yep.
And that's how you can find where your internal beams are.
And be sure that you're going to get the right spot.
Yeah. While we're on midgie, something else that we found out was that this fly screen door, we've covered it now, so we've got a double layer fly screen on this side. On the inside, we've got a midgie proof one. On the outside, it's got the larger crim safe sort of metallic fly screen that's on it, which lets midgies straight through. So one camp we realised that they were coming straight through this door. They weren't even slowing down. So that's why we've at least put a midgie screen on here. All of these other screens are midgie proof, so it will slow them down, but they're cunning. They just get around the edges and come in, and because they're so little, they can just find their way around the fly screens. We've mentioned it before, Bushtracker installs these in an upside down configuration so that the block out blind pulls up, which is really good. We like it, and we definitely recommend it to anybody purchasing a new van if they can, to have it installed that way, because you can have your window open, you can still get airflow in through the top over here, but if you're getting dressed or having a shower or whatever the case is, getting up and you're in a caravan park or a populated area, at least you've got some privacy and you can still have airflow. If it was around the other way, they would just see your midsection, and obviously that's what they'll be seeing, especially at night. But at least this way you can control it a bit and you can have it open and still get air, and we think it's a really good solution for that.
We came from a farm that we had no curtains, so
we only really use them if there's people about, or if you want to block out sun for some reason, like you're trying to do something on the computer and the sun is shining in.
Don't forget to jump onto our website or our socials and order your calendar, stubby holder, beanie or sticker. And remember, we can send it with a message to a loved one if that's what you prefer.
The outside of the van, in no particular order. I'm just going to go around the van and tell you the good, the bad and the things we've changed. Starting with the door, which is probably my biggest complaint with this caravan. This is a Kamak door. It is terrible. My advice to anyone that's getting a new van is don't get this door. Number one, it doesn't seal whatsoever. I've had to add all these seals in it to try and help. So that is really average. The door construction, even these panels are not sealed in the door. They just sit in there and sort of flop around a bit and wobble and so on. So I've sealed all of them. It's only a single skin. So on very cold weather, it condensates on the inside and water runs down. Same with the window. It's only a single glazed window. So it does the same thing, condensates and water runs down. There is a lot better doors on the market than this door. My advice is to everyone, have a look at your doors. Fancier doesn't necessarily mean better, but you want one that seals. I would prefer double insulated and so on, in my experience. A great thing about this Bushtracker van is the wading depth. So I've said it before, so we can go up to about here, 1.2, 1.5 metres deep in water, and this van won't leak. The reason you can do this is because we've got this wading door. Apart from the construction, then there's no holes and so on, that seals over the terrible door to stop water getting through. So no door will be waterproof. This is a really good thing that Bushtracker does. We also like it because it offers us super security when we're not here. We put 2 padlocks through this, and that will make it very difficult for someone to get in and out through the door. Do you know what I mean? Even if they're breaking in and let's say they're trying to steal your laptop or your TV, they're still not going to be able to get out through the door. They're going to have to get back out through the window or however they come in. So it makes it a lot more secure having that.
And by the way, we always take the laptop with us, but the TV's under the couch if you want it.
You can have that. So we really like the wading door. That is a really good thing. We also added, because this van didn't come standard with one, a table. A lot of people have these. They're great. What we find works really well for us is having it right near the door, because when you tend to come in and out or unlock your door, or you've got groceries, you want to open the door, you want to put them somewhere, you don't want to put them in the mud and so on. We find that being right next to the door works really well for that. Also, we have power and so on there, so we can plug in, cook there and do that sort of thing if we want to, and not set up the table.
I have actually set up the slow cooker on there many times.
Because all the moisture's outside. It would be good weather if we're using the slow cooker, so that's fine. No heat in the van, so that's a great thing. Going around the van, the airbag suspension, we would still purchase the airbag suspension again. We like it. We think it provides a great ride for the van, and it is super easy for setup with controlling levels and so on, and adjusting levels. So we would definitely purchase a van with airbag suspension if we did it again. Just on security, apart from the locking the wading door when we go away, we also use a wheel lock, a high quality wheel lock, just to make things a little bit more difficult for anyone. And we also remove the chains off the front of the van and have a hitch lock. So I think it's no use just having a hitch lock, because they'll just put your chains together, throw it over their tow ball or whatever they got, and drive off with your van. I would have removable chains on your van. Will make it a little bit harder for them just to do that. They just can't simply turn up. They have to be prepared and come with chains and all sorts of stuff to get your van. So that's just what we do. Our outdoor kitchen, we love it. We would do it again. It works great. What would we change if we did it again? We have a gas cooktop, a gas wok burner and a gas barbecue. I would change the cooktop for electric, as at the start we didn't consider using batteries and cooking electrically, but now since we're going to upgrade our battery capacity from 300 amp hour to 600 amp hour, it would be great to have electric out here, because most of the time when you're barbecuing it's sunny anyway. So I'll definitely have electric here. We've got a sink here. We don't use the sink very often. We rarely use the sink. If I did again, I wouldn't elect to have a sink out here. We use the front tap. We've got a hand wash tap at the front. So I don't really think there's a need for using the sink. We thought that we would do a lot more full cooking, like you know, canning and that out here with the sink, which is great for that, but I still think in hindsight we probably wouldn't have the sink installed. We would definitely still have the gas wok burner. That's been really good, and I do like the gas barbecue. Whether you're a Weber person or hot plate, doesn't really matter. We cook our roasts in here as well, and I really like the gas barbecue, so I would still have that as gas. Pull-out kitchen is a little bit unique. It was made by Southeast Stainless in Queensland, and they made a one-piece Teflon slide for the pull-out mechanism. The great thing that we've found with that is it's very robust. It's got no moving parts really, not like a ball bearing sort of running slide. It needs a little bit of lubrication for maintenance, and that's it. So I really like the idea of it. It's worked great for 2 years. We've used it plenty, and it's something to consider if you're doing a pull-out kitchen. Another good thing about it is it goes both ways, so we can go right through our boot area and out the other side, so we can do maintenance on our water filters and pumps, which is really nice when you want to get in there and change your water filters. The water filtration on this fan we find really good. It's just a common type filter with a UV sterilizer, ceramic filter, carbon, activated carbon filter, but we couldn't do without it. My advice is, if you're thinking about traveling long term, you definitely should have a water filter system. Then you can use any water, because sometimes the town water isn't quite as good as you think, because they just pump it out of the river. Put a bit of chlorine in it and that's it. So we found that we really like it, and that's all we fill our drink bottles with. We definitely don't purchase any water and disposable drink bottles or anything like that. We just refill our drink bottles with this water and we really like it. The tyres, the spare tyres on this van are at the front. I really like the position of the tyres. They take the weight off the back, where you see a lot of people have boat trailers and tyres and generators and everything. Puts it down at the front where you can manage it well. So I think that's a really nice design feature from Bushtracker. Our box here, storage box, since we have our full kitchen in the boot, we don't have a lot of storage there, or we have no storage. So we use this for storage, as well as the other side's got a generator slide, which makes it nice and easy to pull out and lift your generator off and put it back in. You don't sort of have to swing it into the box or anything like that. So that works really well. So that's a credit to Bushtracker. What doesn't work well is the gas bottles. If you see where the gas bottles are, to put them in and out, you have to lift them over the top of the storage box. And that's easy, you might say, which it is. But remember, they still are a 9 kilo gas bottle, and you're at full arm stretch trying to lift them in and out. So that can be difficult.
I can't do it.
No, it's not the best thing in the world. The electric leg makes it super easy to hitch and unhitch and do all of that. We had added a spacer because we did break it going through riverbeds because it hung down too much. So we've added this spacer, which means we just need to be a little bit careful with the length, because we can run out of length on the truck because it is quite high. So I generally just pack it with wood if I can. It helps it a bit anyway, stops going into the sand and so on. Our hitch, easy hitch, still performing great. Still think it's a very good hitch, and would have that type of hitch again without a doubt. One choice that we did make at the start of the van, and I had to think about it for a while, was the installation of spotlights front and rear. The reason why I had to think about it is that they were quite dear from Bushtracker to install, but I definitely don't regret it, and I strongly urge anybody that's getting a new van to get lights front and rear. It makes things so much better for setting up, packing up in winter, particularly when you've got short daylight hours, or if there's something funny happening around camp, we can simply just switch them on from inside and we have the area all lit up. So I think they are well worth the money, even though they might seem dear at the start, to get front and rear lights put on your van. Definitely a good idea. Another thing while you're here is the cladding. We elected to have the non-ribbed cladding. I like it. It's a little bit heavier than the standard aluminium ribbed cladding, but it doesn't allow spiders to harbour all their spots around there. I think it's more waterproof, it's a better design, can seal it better, and it's easier to wash. Although we've only washed it twice in 2 years. But anyway, it is easier to wash than, imagine washing the red dirt off the aluminium cladding will become difficult. Yeah. I'm quite happy with this composite cladding. I think it's a nice cladding. It is a little bit more hail resistant. It's a little bit tougher than straight aluminium. So that's something to consider as well. We have equivalent to 6 120 watt panels on our van roof. So 720 watts of solar in total. Plus I also run a 200 watt blanket. Now originally we didn't have the solar blanket, but we found that if you happen to be parked under trees and you couldn't help it, you easily ran out of solar power. So we use a blanket now with an extension cable that you can move around on the ground and follow the sun, and that is really good. We purchased one from King's, which was fairly cheap, and it's been great so far. I would definitely recommend, if you're getting a van that you intend to be off-grid for some time, to put as much solar on the van as possible. We could still put a little bit more solar on, which I think we probably should have. The drawback is it gets a little bit heavier, but it allows you to recharge your batteries easier. While we're here, you can see our selfie antenna on our TV antenna. It's that vertical antenna. So when you wind up your TV antenna, it also puts up the selfie aerial. So I think that's a really good idea from Bushtracker to do that. It just means that when it's all packed up, it's out of the way and doesn't get caught on trees, as opposed to having a 1 meter high antenna sticking up for your selfie. So that's a great idea.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. If you want a reminder, hit the bell. And remember, we always love a thumbs up.
So after 2 years full-time living in our van, we are still very happy with our van. The overall layout suits us very well, although there are a couple little things that we can improve upon, which we will. We are generally loving our van still, and we're going to live in it for years to come, hopefully.